I just spent the last way too long going and doing a bunch of stuff in the Miliastra Wonderland. So now my Manekin is finally level 90, which also gives her maxed out talents, which I didn't realize. So obviously I'm going to be trying to make her do some form of damage, because from what I know, this is all just kind of damage based, and then whatever element the Traveler is whatever element she is. So we're gonna see what we can do with the Manekin today, or in my case, Becca. Because whenever you give me the ability to create my own character, I'm just going to try to replicate Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which I've done the best I possibly can with my limited stuff available at the moment. Please, for God's sakes of Genshin, give us more colors for hair. Blonde, brown, and like a dark blue is not really enough colors. I want more colors, please, and thank you. But yeah, this is kind of the closest I can get to Rebecca with the current clothes I have. But regardless, I'm going to see what kind of damage we can get out of her today. So I think I'm gonna go Pyro, because I love Pyro characters. And I think it will be the easiest to get the most damage out of, because I can do vaporizers. And if I build the right teams, I can also probably do melts. And that will probably get us the most damage out of her. Now, obviously, we don't need to worry about leveling up or talents. There is no constellations, which is a really weird thing to see, which means it's just her build we have to deal with. Which I think for weapons, we do just want to go full DPS. I don't have a lot of options, to be fair. So I think that'll be good if I was using a melt team with Layla. Otherwise, this is probably the best. Gives us a bond of life, which is kind of painful, but I think that's probably the best we can do. We have this one as well. I don't have a whole lot of good DPS swords on this account, obviously. So I think for now, I'm going to use this one. Because when we use the elemental skill, which we need to use anyway to do the infused, normal, and charge attacks, we will get extra attack. So in theory, this weapon should be good enough. So we're going to swap her to that. And then it's just artifacts. I could technically just run Crimson Witch, because pyro damage and increases vaporize and all that stuff. Plus, if we use the elemental skill, we increase the pyro damage by 50%, so we'll have 65% pyro damage. And because I used to run this on my Hu Tao, I actually have some pretty good pieces. We're going to go for attack, crit rate, crit damage, and a bit of EM. Let's go off piece for the goblet. Pyro damage, that'll do. That will give us a 40 to 188. That's not very good. Can I fix that? I could do a little bit of work, I guess. If we do that, if we do this, that now gives you a 47 to 189, which is a little bit better, and 2000 attack, which is pretty good, and 107 EM. Yeah, we can try this. I'm just going to mess around with a bunch of different builds because I don't exactly know how I'm going to build the Manekin. I do mainly want to focus on Pyro though, because that is what I'll probably use the most if I end up using her at all. So team-wise, as you can see, we just throw in the best possible supports we can get. We got Farina, we got Shalonen, we got Bennett, who is C6, so we'll get more Pyro infusion. Let's go see if this is good, and because we're going to be doing a bunch of just random builds, of course, Masanori is going to be our test dummy for the day. There's more damage from this than I thought. There's 12k, fully unbuffed. You know what? That's not terrible so far. I mean, it's not very good, but we haven't got around to using any buffs or using her burst, so this could be interesting. Let's have a look and see what this does. Farina, Shalonen, I should have done Ben, actually no, we'll do that. He's blocking, because of course he is. Please stop it. 57,040, Jesus, okay. That did a lot more damage than I thought. That wasn't the worst thing ever. I definitely could push the damage a lot higher if I had a better build on her, or a crit weapon. Now the other option I could do is use the Marashosei Hunter, because normal charge attack damage increase plus crit rate. And I mean, this is what I'm currently using my Hu Tao on, and she can do a lot of damage, but then again it is Hu Tao. But why not? Let's try this. Let me just steal Hu Tao's pieces, and not this one though, because it's HP. So that leaves her with a 33 to 170. Why is the crit damage so low? So the only thing I can think of would be to get higher crit damage on this, which I can do if I steal Malika's piece. And that will give us 178, which is still not very good. But I mean, if I had a crit damage weapon, this would be a lot better. Technically, I could run a crit damage weapon. This technically would work, and then we would have 34, which will go up to 64 probably over 225, and that's a lot better. So let's try this. Let's see if this works. And then I might as well go back to the Crimson Witch build after this and try it out with, of course, he's blocking again. Try it out with the crit damage weapon. That was 97,000. Hold up. Please, why do you always block whenever I do my damage testing? It is the most annoying thing in the world. Let's try this again. Masanori, don't block things, please. I think it is definitely doing a little bit less. I think the pyro damage was definitely helping us a lot. So I'm going back to Crimson Witch, but we're going to try it out with the crit damage weapon I currently have, and we'll see if that changes anything. There we go, back on Crimson Witch. We're going to keep the Malika piece, so that's good. And that leaves us with 48 to 243. I think I need a crit rate one of these. Do I have a crit rate circlet? Not really. I mean, we have this one. That's probably the best we can get. What does that do? 64, 194. That's good enough for now. I'll try it out. I could also use crit rate food and go with more crit damage, which I will try out after this. But this is a more balanced build, so we'll see how this one does. Same rotations, boom, don't block. He's blocking, he stopped blocking, good. Do that, we do that, we do burst. Burst does 100,000, hell yes. That's always the goal. 46,000. And then we see some 2,000, some 7,000s. Pretty small stuff from there, but 100,000 from the burst. It's always my goal to hit 100,000 whenever I build 4 stars. That is good. Once again, she died, but also another character that we have managed to hit 100,000 with. So now let me try to do even more damage by simply swapping back to crit damage. She has 107 EM, so the same stats there, but she has 48.2 to 43.8. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here. We're going to grab some crit rate food. Crit rate by 20. Ooh, okay. I might use this. We get more crit rate. We get 20% more crit rate, which will bump her up to 68% crit rate, which is good. And 20% more crit damage, which will put her 263% crit damage. So let me grab this one. I forget, was it this one? Yes, it's this one. Let's grab that. So let's go see if we can hit well over 100,000 now. Let's go for 150,000. That's probably a bit optimistic. I don't think 150,000 is quite possible, but let's see what we can do. No buffs, we see 16,000. Okay, hold up. No buffs, 16,000 is about as much damage as we were doing with Shallonen buff and Vaporize, I think. So that's pretty good. Don't kill me. We see 50,000, we see 50,000, we see 146,000. Okie dokes. Yep, 25,000 off a normal attack, and we die because no HP. Goddamn. Okay, that's doing quite a bit of damage. I literally haven't looked at a single guide coming into this, so I had no clue what kind of damage I was supposed to expect. But 146, almost 150,000 is not bad. That being said, I am using food with a quite high crit ratio. I can only imagine what this would be like if I was using Farina's weapon. Farina's weapon gives you like 80% crit damage. So we would be over 300% crit damage. We could, if I had Farina's weapon, I could do probably almost over 200k. So now we're going to try the other build option I had in mind, which is a melt reaction. Now we're going to grab, let's see, I don't have many good off-field or supportive cryo characters except for Layla. So I guess I can run Layla and then run Kazu to swell Layla's stuff so I can get more cryo. And then we just run Shallonen. I have no clue how well this is gonna go. I should probably get Kazu on a better weapon. But let's have a look and see if this does good stuff. I need to fix my Layla's build. I'm not actually entirely sure if Vaporize or Melt does more damage. So I guess we will find out pretty soon. 146,000 is our baseline start. Let's see what we can do with a melt team that isn't particularly optimal. Layla first, swell with Kazuha. I probably should have swelled Pyro first, but oh well. We don't really need the heals, so I'm going to put out the heals anyway. And then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. And where did he go? Okay, that worked. Probably shouldn't be doing this like up in a bloody corner. How much ER does Becca have? 120. That's why she's not getting her burst up very quickly. Once again, let's give this a shot. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. I should have swelled the Pyro first. I forgot to do that again. Oh well. We're going to do that and that and then that and then boom. 80,000. So that definitely did less damage. 42,000 there from the skill. The crit ratio is still pretty good. We're still 96. Oh yeah, because the weapon boosts crit rate as well. Yeah, okay. Not bad. 48,000 there from a very unbuffed melt. So I think the vaporizers were definitely doing more damage, which I think confirms my theory that vaporizers are higher damage multiplier than melt, but I'm still not 1000% sure about that. Now, is there anything else I would like to try pyro mannequin wise? I mean, we could try this. We could go plunge attack and obviously keep it with the vaporize because that seems to do the most damage. Plunge attack is honestly really, really fun. So we could give this a shot. I don't believe it'll do too much more damage. Obviously the burst isn't going to do any more damage this way, but it could be a good way to get more damage out of the whole team. Like just raise the DPS of Becca the most. So let's once again give this a shot. We're going to do that one. This, we're going to go straight into Xian Yun. Do that. Boom. Bam. Boom. This, I've run out of food buffs. But oh well. Was that 100,000? That... No, that's 10. No, that's 100. Jesus. That was 120,000 from a plunge attack. Why are you doing so much damage? You are... What? I was gonna say this character is probably a 3-star. I don't technically know what this colored background is. I think it's... I mean, Aloy's the same. I think it's just not a ranked character. He's not a 4-star or a 5-star. But I wasn't expecting her to do a lot of damage. But I mean, we just did 100,000+ on every single plunge attack, plus her burst doing 150 almost thousand, plus her skill was doing 50,000. God damn, why does she actually do a lot of damage? Now, I could also go try out the other elements of the mannequin. So let's have a look. What could we do? Animo, I don't imagine it's going to do a whole lot. We can technically do some swirling stuff, but I still don't think it'll top the damage we just did there with Pyro. If we used Hydro, we couldn't really do too much because I don't have a lot of Hydro reactions. We could do like reverse Vaporize, but that's about it. And I believe even then that does less damage than normal Vaporize. Then what else have we got? There's no Cryo because Snezhnaya isn't here. We could do Electro, but once again, the only Electro team I could do is a like Electro Charge team, which again, I don't think will do a ton of damage. We could do Dendro. I mean, I could run it, but it'd be like in a burning team, and I don't imagine it'll do very good. There is Geo, but Geo reacts with nothing, so it won't really work. So I think Pyro is like the best option for this. I love Pyro characters and I have the most artifacts for Pyro characters. I do quite like Pyro characters, as you can probably tell by my let's have a look, shall we? 11 Pyro characters up to level 90, which is a third of my total leveled up characters. A third of them are Pyro. So I have the most stuff for Pyro characters, and I believe that does the most damage. But I would like to try this out against one more thing, and that is, where is it, this dude, because we get more buffs. I could also go fight Skara, but I despise fighting Skara, especially considering I don't believe any of these characters would be able to take down his little floating things very easily. I think Farina might be able to, but I don't know if the little guys target them. But this thing is easy to test on, plus it gives us a damage boost. So let's have a look and see if we can hit even more damage. I should probably use food though, because I need the buffs. I actually want to have a look. What is your plunge attack multipliers? 126%. I need comparisons. What is Hu Tao's plunge attack multiplier? She's got more plunge attack than Hu Tao. I believe D-Luke has a pretty high plunge attack multiplier. Okay, not as much as D-Luke. More than Garming, and his entire kit revolves around plunge attacks. But still, like 126% plunge attack is still quite a high multiplier, I think. So no wonder why the plunge attacks are doing 100-something thousand. This, I think we're gonna do too much damage because of Farina's little dudes, but oh well, we'll do that. We killed it because Farina's little dudes. Okay, I think I need to do my setup before we get to the final phase of the boss. This plunge attack, boom, 137,000 on a plunge attack. I think it might even do more later on, but we can only get one plunge attack out because we kill it too quick. I mean, hey, 136, basically almost 140,000 we'll say on the plunge attacks, and then 150,000 on the burst. And I didn't even run the burst against this boss. We could probably even do more damage if we use the burst, but I think I would kill it too quick just on setup. Yeah, goodness gracious, that's quite good. I do really want to go test it against Scaramouche, but I think I would actually genuinely kill Scaramouche just in setup. And there's nothing else that's really tanky enough to test it on that, you know, has a buff. Apart from this, maybe? I don't think this gives us a buff at all. Let me see. Does this give us any buffs? No, not at all. Plus all these enemies stuck and they're all lunar based. So yeah, not doing that. If we just estimate damage there, if we used our burst against that boss, probably around 160,000. So 160,000 from the burst, 136, 140,000 from the plunge attacks. And we can do, I think it is almost, let's see, how many of them can we do? We can do 8 plunge attacks. So probably in one rotation, we could pretty easily get over 1 million out of our lovely Manekin here, which is pretty damn good, I must say. I don't think it's quite on par with my Hu Tao level of damage. I think my Hu Tao can do more in one rotation. But if my Hu Tao like misses a crit or we don't get a proper vaporize, that's on par with Hu Tao. So yeah, this went substantially better than I thought it was going to be. The Manekin actually does quite a bit more damage. So the pain of trying to rush completion of Merely Astral Wonderland was somewhat worth it, because now I actually will probably use the Manekin in some endgame content if I need to. Like, basically it'll probably just be Imaginarium Theater, because I have characters that do more damage, but she is still actually kind of viable now. But with that is where I'm going to leave this off. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you liked this video, go check out the video we first jumped into Merely Astral Wonderland and just kind of felt it out, just checked out what it was like. And I must say it is actually pretty fun if you play the right mini games. And now that we're getting, a little bit further into it, we're getting some pretty fun games in there, I must say. But yeah, with that, I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.